is going to bring us a real treat. How to drive true digital transformation with a unique methodology that generates results. I'd like to welcome Zara Mahedi. Zara is the global digital leader for marketing automation and lead management optimization at Honeywell. And Zara is joining us today from beautiful Vancouver, Canada. She is a passionate, collaborative, and empathetic MarTech leader within the digital space for about 15 years. She leads marketing and operational digital transformation for Honeywell globally. And prior to that, she held leadership positions at Dove, Kraft, FedEx, RBC Royal Bank, and ATB Financial. Zara, it's a real privilege to have you with us, and I very much look forward to your presentation.
Thanks for having me. Really excited to be here. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. We have a global audience. Thank you for being here. I'm very excited to be here, and you know, the world around us is rapidly evolving, right? It's the time where organizations have to step up and start evolving if they have not already done so. Or risk becoming irrelevant. So today I'm excited to share with you how we at Honeywell have digitally transformed and are transforming with our unique methodologies. So this is what I feel a digital transformation is. It's like we're flying our plane and trying to change our engine at the same time. Digital transformation is not for the faint of heart. It is hard because we're changing in so many different places, and you're looking at the organization holistically, trying to connect the dots. You know, people who are not in it think it's some sort of magic that we do on the back end and make things happen. But people who are in it, you know, if you're embarking on your journey, if you're in the middle of your journey, if you've completed your journey, kudos to all of you, because it's not for the faint of hearts, but it is necessary, and it is becoming more and more necessary given our current circumstances. So who is Honeywell? Want to share a little bit about Honeywell and who we are. So we're a 100-year-old company, and we're a Fortune 100 global conglomerate. So we have many different businesses within Honeywell, sell hundreds of products and solutions, actually thousands of products and solutions. We're headquartered in Charlotte, North Carolina. We have 4 major divisions: the aerospace, building solutions, we have safety and productivity, and then performance material technologies. And that's PMT, that's the area that I'm in. It's about 11 billion, and we have 13 different businesses within that. So we are complex, and we're about 37 million holistically at Honeywell. So just a little bit about us. What I'm going to share with you today is our story, the vision, what we've been going through, and really how we got there. So I'll start off with a bit of our story and our North Star. So when we started on this journey, we said, what are we trying to do, right? And we put it simply, we're really trying to turn leads into sales from the marketing standpoint, and customers into fans. So that's very easily said. It took us a while to come up with that, but that is, then we dug a little bit deeper. What does it mean to turn leads into sales? Well, we wanted to send sales the best quality leads so they could focus on selling, right? Giving them people who are ready to buy on specific products or solutions, and then being able to look at the lead, so the person coming in, look at them and see them go through the funnel, and really increase contribution to revenue. So this is a big piece here, because marketers at one point in time were administrators. We are now have a seat at the table because most people are online, and if you're online, you're coming through a marketing channel. And if you're coming through a marketing channel and you're interested in buying, well, that's should be contributed to marketing. So we are now able to contribute our efforts to revenue, which is a big change from 15 years ago when I started, and I started in this area. The other thing was, we said, okay, we want to turn customers into fans. So we want to build evangelists. We want to build customers advocates. So we said we need to create authentic experiences for them. We need to really understand who our people are and give them what they want, feed them up with the right content. Because when you have good products and good solutions, it's a matter of, if there is a customer demand, it's a matter of when they want to buy, right? So, and then optimizing our marketing automation. So marketing automation is, there's many tools out there in the marketing space, and I'll talk about that in a bit, but really looking at how to optimize your marketing automation by thinking about the customer first, and then connecting the dots between marketing and sales. That's a really big thing, right? As I mentioned earlier. So that was our North Star, and we started there. And then we said, okay, what are we going to do to work towards creating that vision? And so we said, let's evaluate our technology, our process, and our people. That will allow us to work through the strategy and then the implementation. So with the technology, evaluating our tech stack, looking at all of our different technologies, our integrations, our enhancements, what we needed to do, looking at our processes, what are our current processes, what's working, what's not working, identifying all the gaps, right? That's a big thing, because that's how you improve, and that's how you connect the dots. And then looking at our people, who are the key stakeholders? Who do we want to help? We want to help our customers. We want to help the sales organization. We want to help customer marketing. Who will be impacted? And then how are we going to do change management? All of that combined, looking at all of that, is how we put together our methodology for digital transformation. And again, I'll get to our results, but we've had some pretty significant results since starting our journey. So the technology, for those of you who are in the digital space in marketing, there are over 8,000 tools out there. So what you see in front of you is our landscape, the marketing landscape. In 2014, there was just a few hundred. So the fact that we've grown so quickly, there's so many different options out there, and they keep growing. New tools come out year over year, and this number is going to continue to grow. So with the many options, you need to pick and choose what to move forward with based on your vision, your North Star. And so that's what we did. We had a few in place, and then we said, let's start looking at what is really going to work with providing customers better experiences, and how are we going to get that better experience for sales, where we're sending leads to them and we're sending people to them. And so this is the stack that we have right now. And the key here is, with the stack we have, we're looking to always optimize that, because there's so many opportunities within the tools that you have. And sometimes you're just using like the bare minimum, but it's about optimizing those. So we believe in having a tight stack, growing that stack, but optimizing the stack you currently have. So we started off with this, and we're adding a few more. So Adobe, the entire Adobe suite is a big thing for us. Marketo's within that, and then we have some top funnel marketing technology tools, mobile apps, all of our social, all of our event apps, right? Because marketing, we had to shift pretty quickly from all of our live events to moving to online events. So, bringing in tools to help us there with moving everything online and thinking through what tool is the best experience for our customers. So the plan is to continue to grow, but optimize. Now the process. This is something that, we said, let's work through our existing process. So what we did was we sat down with hundreds of people across the organization, across different functions. So commercial excellence, sales, product marketing, customer marketing, And then we talked to folks in different regions and then across different businesses, because as I mentioned, we have 13 different businesses. We're in 70 different regions. So, talking to the main regions to see what we were doing in each of the regions. And so we built out this map that you see in front of you, and you can't see the details of it, but it is obviously complex and chaotic. And that just proved how important it was for us to change and evolve, to connect the dots, but really make this process a lot more efficient, right? So it gave us a true understanding of our landscape. And, it was a really interesting exercise, because when we talked to people, we realized one function was doing something using one maybe Salesforce instance, but then someone else was using a different Salesforce instance, and they're connected together, right? So are we doing it right? Should it be going through Salesforce, or should it be going through Marketo? Right? Decisions like that we were able to think through, because we were able to see what the map looked like. So understanding the foundation is really, really important on that process piece. So that was number one. Number two was we did a marketing maturity assessment, okay? So we looked at data, different channels, technology, content, conversion, analytics, and then the tech stack, right? And we evaluated and assessed where we were. Now, when we initially started, we were kind of in the lower levels, the 2 and the 1s. And so where we are now, we're about, from when we started implementation, we're about 1.5 years in. And so we're about 3 and 4 now. Our goal is to get to 5 by the end of 2021. So we said it's a 3-year journey, but always after that, it'll be continuous improvement. So this never ends, right? And to get to that level 5, all of those pieces that you see in front of you. So, for data, really having that single customer view, because we have thousands of products. If a customer comes to us, we need to know, we need to have our system set up. So we need to know everything that they're interested in, because that provides the best experience. Having one-to-one targeting, where you're talking to your customer like they're the only ones out there, right? Making them feel important, because that's how you build evangelists. That's how you make your customers into fans, right? Giving them what they want when they want it. And so the channel piece is very important, because that's providing them with the unique experience regardless of where they go, whether it's an e-commerce site, a different website, going to an event, having that omni-channel experience, and that right message at the right time. Like I mentioned, for content, content is very important, right? How many times, if someone's sending you something that's irrelevant to you, just hit delete, right? Or if you go to a website, you're looking for something and it's not there, do you just hop off and go to a competitor, right? And that's why it's really important for the content to be relevant for customers. Having a fully integrated funnel, so seeing the lead come through, and watching them go through the funnel and see how they get to sales, and then go through the sales funnel is really important, so we can attribute it to revenue. Getting to some predictability and being able to forecast our funnel and predictive and analytics is a big piece. And then having integrated technology, right? So connecting the dots across the systems and having a seamless experience on the back end. And as you saw, our existing process map was pretty complex and chaotic. So this is where the maturity assessment allowed us to say, okay, this is where we are, this is where we want to go to. And getting to that level 5 is our goal, and it aligns with our North Star in our journey. Now, what we then did is we said, let's look at best practices. Let's look at what's out there. And let's put together a proposed operational process map for this transformation. And so that's what we did. We said, we put it together based on the best practices, and we said, we created this funnel. Now you can see this is a lot more streamlined than that previous one you saw. And so we did the thinking through it. But what then we needed to do was get sign off on it, get everyone aligned on it. And that's when, that's what takes me to the next one, which is the most important, the people. Because you can have technology, you can have process improvement, but without the people, you're not getting anything done, right? So whether it's, you know, your internal folks, whether, you know, whatever level it's at, it's getting the sign off from the people and having their buy-in. And so this is where we, I think, differ from other organizations. So we held a workshop, a 3-day workshop, and we brought key stakeholders together. And those key stakeholders were our leaders across the organizations, but also our execution team. So we had people from different roles joining. We had people from different functions. So we had commercial excellence, we had the digital team, we had IT, we had folks from our different centers of excellences, we had project management, customer marketing, and then we had folks from all of the different businesses, the multiple businesses I mentioned earlier. We had 13, right? So we brought everyone together, and you know, it was a 3-day in-person workshop. And we had some folks dialing in. So overall, we had close to 40 people who joined us to really think through how to move this forward. And at that workshop, what we did was we printed out in on massive sheets, and we hung them around the room, our existing process and our proposed process. Now, we walked everyone through that, and obviously people had opinions. So having that proposed process allowed us to talk through each piece of it, and then also get sign off, right? And sign off from whoever we needed to get sign off on, because we had everyone in the room. So often what happens from a workshop, you'll bring people together and then you'll leave, and then you have to go get all the sign-offs and get everything done. But what we got out of this workshop, and it was amazing collaboration. We also started off with, you know, I started off with yoga every day. I made them do a little bit of yoga or a fun game to get everyone kind of aligned and together. And that actually, you know, some days when we're talking about some technical, really some getting into the granular details or stuff, the yoga, the meditation was actually helped people. So, you know, 5 minutes of meditation worked. So then after this 3-day workshop, we were able to come up with this new lead to revenue operational process. So the proposed one was a bit slimmer than this one, but we were able to talk through a few of the details. And obviously there was a lot more, you know, work we did on the back end, but we came through this process and we said, okay, going back to our North Star, what do we want to do? And we said, so I'll walk you through this process. We said leads need to come in. They need to come in through our marketing automation tool. All of our tools are, you know, our social, like I mentioned, all of our different tools, the social tools, our event tools, the Adobe Suite, all of them need to be connected into Marketo, because Marketo is our customer database. In that, we need to have some scoring models in order to make sure that we're talking to the people at the right time and scoring them to what sales wants, right? Because the goal was also to send sales the highest quality leads and the ones they need to focus on. So we said we put together some scoring models around that. We then said, we're going to automatically get them over to the sales organization. So we heard what sales wanted. You know, we said, okay, we'll automatically give them to you, building that process out and connecting the systems between your CRM and your automation system. Not an easy task, because there's a lot of field mapping and, you know, a lot of anomalies between the systems that you need to integrate in order to do automation. So we said, okay, that's what we want to do, our ideal state. We want to send out some, trigger emails to remind sales folks to process the leads, or at least let us know whether or not they are good leads, because we can do everything we want through automation, but if there might be some chances where sales says, this person is not ready to buy, but at least they've picked up the phone, they've talked to the customer, and they have the option to either move the lead through the funnel, or move them back and recycle them for us to then pick up, to recycle and to nurture. So that's, in a nutshell, what we came up with and that we had to operationalize. So the real digital transformation started when we started building this. And as I mentioned, we've been on this journey for a while now. So to build this is not for the faint of hearts, right? A lot of passionate people involved, and a lot of folks, from different functions with different viewpoints to build this out. So what we did was we said, okay, who is our core team? I brought the core team together, and the goal was to empower that core team to stand up and do the wave, be the early adopters of the wave, because those are the people that are going to be operationalizing it and speaking to other people about it. So with any change, most folks are resistant. We know that. And so with any change, you need to get the core group of people to be those early adopters and stand up to that, and who are excited and who are passionate and driven and accountable. So we did that by putting this team together, by sharing our North Star, and also working through core values. So before we even kicked off, so we had a project kickoff and we talked about our core values, and we built the core values together as a team. And I think collaboration is super important for big projects, big scale projects, because collaboration and having those core values are really important, because it sets the foundation. And so for us, our core values were, and I'll walk you through them, and I think they're very interesting, and they're very important, because this is what we were able to always go back to, right? You have your North Star you go back to, and you have your core values you go back to, because there's always problems, right? But my belief is every problem is figure outable. You can solve the problem, right? As long as you put the time into it, you can solve a problem. And so one more thing, when we said we wanted to, go forward with this, I think people were like, okay, good luck with that, right? Good luck. It seems complicated to go from that old process to that new process, but good luck. And, the organization supported us in doing that. So setting the core values important. So we said we're aiming for good results and not perfection. So, perfection is a pursuit. It's about progress, right? Striving for progress. So using the 80-20 rule to go live with different MVPs is how we rolled, because otherwise you could just get stuck and say it's never good enough, right? So going out with an MVP, and we're on MVP 4 now. And then accountability. So every person on the team was very accountable. And the other piece is empathy and listening and asking questions. So speaking up when you need to, being flexible and agile, right? Being able to shift and pivot, which we had to do very quickly when, COVID hit. We had to make a bunch of changes, bring in some new technologies and pivot a little bit. Collaboration and teamwork, respecting each other's time. So starting meetings on time. And being solution focused. And the last two are from Brene Brown, her book Dare to Lead. If you're not familiar with her, she's a really good, she's an empathetic psychological leader in the space, and she talks about being radical candor and how important it is to have that on the team. So we said, if you have a problem, come talk to the person directly, and let's be honest, let's be open and honest and work through problems. And then also being clear, because being clear is being kind. Being unclear when you're ambiguous about things, it just causes for confusion, and then you can't get to where you need to get to. So the collaboration on that and setting the core values at the beginning of the project and reviewing them throughout the project was key to our success. The other big thing we did was we had 2 teams under one umbrella. So I was able to, I had my operations team and then I had my digital transformation team. And the beauty here was, as we were going out with our MVPs on the digital transformation team, we're able to operationalize it very quickly because it was all under one umbrella. So, you know, the training and the changes were able to go into the operations team very quickly, which is why we have seen results in, you know, the last 1.5 years. So we had that sort of, we had to, you know, deal with the 30 folks in the transformation team and the 14 people on the operations team, and they had to connect often in order to get at each MVP. They had to kind of connect often to get the transformation out the door, the MVPs out the door. Now, the other big thing here was, and there's a lot on people, as you can see, and we did that purposely. We said we want to focus on our people because our people are the most important. The training and the change management. So in the 19th century, the German psychologist, I'm going to not say his name correctly, but Hermann Ebbinghaus tested memory and over periods of time, and he came up with the following depiction, which is the forgetting curve. And the forgetting curve basically shows that basically after 7 days, people retain less than 20% of what's actually been shared with them, right? So with that, with understanding that, what we did was we ensured that we did continuous training with folks, whether they were live or whether they were online, and also had a really good communication plan. So prior to even go live, we'd send out communications, we'd talk to the folks, we'd have sessions, and we're going to continue that. So having that change, having that training plan in place and that change management plan in place allowed us for people to adopt faster. The last one on people is celebrating success. You know, too often I find we are moving on to the next and not celebrating the hard work we're doing. And so very important to celebrate the success and recognize the people who have been involved in the projects. And that's something that we did. And you know, we learned very quickly because we went from the first time we went from one MVP to the next, and it causes burnout. So we spent the time to say, you know what, maybe we need a bit of a gap between the next MVP, and let's celebrate people. So, you know, just recently we went live with an MVP and brought everyone together after, you know, the day after, and we had a big, you know, obviously we're not all in one space nowadays, everyone's at home, but we brought everyone together to talk about the good things we did, and we just focused on the good things. We'll do a post-mortem, but that's separate, right? No need to mix it all together. So celebrating the people and the hard work people did was really important for us, and it allows us to move to the next one, right? And the next MVP, because as we said, this is a journey. This is not something that stops. Digital is going to continue, the digital transformation is going to continue to evolve into the AI space and robotic space, and, you know, it's just going to keep going, right? So it's really important to recognize the people. The results. So really connecting the dots. I believe you connect the dots, you get the results. And what we did, you know, over the last year and a half when we started implementation was really, we've increased marketing contribution to revenue by 300%. And that is massive. Our goal is to continue to grow that. We have a ROMI, a return of marketing investment of over 20. And we have really moved the needle on this. Now, you know, even when we've had, you know, our challenges, right? Obviously, budgets are cut with COVID and things, we had to pivot, move money in different places, we've still been able to see an increase in our contribution to revenue. And that's because we connected the dots, because your systems are connected. You have good products, you have good solutions, people are buying, and if the dots are connected, you generate results. So for me, that was very exciting. We were able to, as we've seen the results come in, it's beautiful because it all aligns to our North Star and just aligns to our North Star, and we've actually brought it to fruition and generated some great results thus far. My last slide, taking us back to our first slide, is basically, transformation is not for the faint of heart. So for those of you guys who are involved in it, how we do it is we try to do it singing our favorite song, right? If we're gonna do it, let's embrace it, let's enjoy it, and learn from it. And if we do it and we're happy about it, not butting heads, but we're happy about it, and we work together and collaborate, we can truly see success. And that's why I believe we've seen success, because we've worked together, and we sometimes do sing on our calls. So I'll leave it with the last message from Zig Ziglar, which success is not a destination, but it is a journey.
Terrific, Zahra. Thank you so much for that presentation. We had a few great questions come in during your presentation. So I'm going to start with Antonio Urquiza, and Antonio is well known for asking good questions. So Antonio, we noticed that throughout all the presentations, your inquisitive mind has really helped us shape some great conversations here. So we're thankful for that. He says, thanks for sharing your thoughtful and systematic approach to your digital transformation. And his question is, with the pandemic now, which changes did you have to adopt in your framework for this post-COVID world that we're living in?
Yeah, great question. So, I touched on this, but it was more about we had to look at our technologies. So, our biggest lead generator is events, and so we had to make a big pivot, right? A lot of our customers are used to coming to our events, so moving to online events was a big thing we had to do, similar to what we had to do for this event, right? And so we had to evaluate the technologies, the different technologies that were out there, and we had to bring in a new technology for our different types of events. So that was our biggest pivot. And then, with that, we had to restructure some of the team to get to move everything online, because with not doing the online event, doing the live events, now everyone has to adopt a new technology and learn a new technology so they can host these live events. So it was a lot of learning, change management, and process change to make that pivot.
That is true. Sometimes it's hard for people to understand all the moving parts that happen behind events like this, for example. And I'm sure you do that internally in the organization with folks who have different levels of expertise and experience and comfort, really, on doing something like that. So it's quite a steep learning curve, and I'm sure that you had to adjust to that very quickly with the COVID situation. So that's great. Mike Prentice asks a specific question around enterprise architecture. He wonders if you have an enterprise architecture team, and if you do, how and where did they interact with you in this effort?
Yeah, so we definitely have like a corporate a team, and so they would be involved with our project most definitely. So when I showed you that new process map that we put together, or even at the workshop, we had the corporate team, the enterprise team involved in that at that workshop. So we got sign off from everyone there. And then in terms of the architecture team, so as we were building this out, we had them involved, but we had our own architects for the project specifically. So we had our own, CRM architect, automation architects, that we would come up with solutions for, and then we'd bring in the architecture team to ensure that we were building what we needed to build, and that worked across the enterprise. So we always brought them in. It comes down to time and availability. So that's why it was, we bring them in kind of once we've scoped out or built out the requirements.
And following up on that, tell us a little bit about the role that technology played on this transformation, and what role did it play for you in this?
So with the technology, the biggest so there are three big connections. One was our marketing technology, right? So all the social media, your event online, all the online or marketing technologies at the top that needed to integrate into our marketing automation system, which is Marketo, right? So those are all technologies. Connecting those, some of them are easier to connect than others. So that was one connection. And then the other connection was between the marketing automation and the Salesforce, right? So Marketo and Salesforce. So technology was integrating those two was very, very, it took a lot of time to do that because there's anomalies between the systems. So bringing those two together did take time. Now, are you talking about technology as in the IT like organization, or are you talking about technology as in just how we connected the dots?
Well, both, really both. So just interested on how you use technology in general in this transformation, and you have addressed that. There's some specific tools that you're using there. I don't assume that. Do you have in the marketing space where you're operating here, or maybe somewhere else where you are close to? Do you have applications of robotics process automation or artificial intelligence or anything like that that's playing a role for you, or not?
No, so we do have that within the organization. It's not part of our scope of work, but it is something, AI is something we want to move towards from an automation, from a marketing standpoint, right? Because we want to get there. So I think that's, a next couple of phases, right? To get to that, but we do have it in other businesses for sure. Yeah.
You're good. And to your credit, you're you don't need to hear this from me, but you're absolutely doing the right order, which is like you're defining your process and getting that collaboration right on what that process should look like for the organization. And now, as you mentioned, follow-up phases, you can bring technology now to enable those agreed upon processes further.
Yeah.
Because
Absolutely.
as we both know, if you bring those technologies a little too early, it becomes really messy.
Absolutely. It's about building the foundation. So we've built a solid foundation, and with that solid foundation, that's, we're getting a 300% contribution to revenue. Now what happens when we start bringing in the more technologies, right, and integrating those in, that number should go up significantly, especially now that everyone's online. If you're online, you're coming through a marketing channel. So your revenue, if 70%, they say, I think the stat is 70% of people online do their research online before they go to make a purchase. So if that's the case, then 70% should be attributed to marketing efforts, in my opinion.
There we go. That's right. Rula Ode has a really interesting question. She asks, that Honeywell is well known for its long-term use of Lean Six Sigma and having kind of developed the discipline approach to problem solving and improvement and innovation. The question is whether that has played any role for setting up the right environment and culture for this transformation, or is there an influence from the work that the company does related to Lean Six Sigma and discipline approaches in general to the work you have done here?
Yeah, good. I think indirectly, most definitely, right? So I'm Green Belt certified, Six Sigma. You know, all of us are required to kind of use that methodologies, and so you know, I believe it's indirectly because it's kind of ingrained into us. So indirectly, we've incorporated it. I would say, yeah.
Okay. And Reynaldo Callejas has another great question. He says, first, thank you for such a great presentation. And his question is, how do you balance marketing automation with hyper personalization of content without losing the human touch in the conversion process with clients? How do you find that balance about automating things and keeping that human touch and relationship building with clients?
Yeah, okay, good question. And it was on my process map, but I didn't get into it. So we created something called Inside Marketing. And this is, again, something that we developed in-house. And Inside Marketing is the human connection to automation. And what we did was we said, okay, we have this, we're going to do this automation, but we want to make sure, going back to our North Star, is we want to give customers with the best experiences, making them fans. So what we want to do is, some of the leads we're sending automatically. You know, if someone says they want to buy, of course we're going to send that to sales directly. But then there's some people, well, we're doing this automation, maybe they're not ready to buy. So we have an inside marketing team to follow up with those people directly and talk to them one-on-one. So you're making that connection with them to really see what they want. And so it's after the automation, we're doing that. And yeah, great question. And yeah, I don't know if any other organizations are doing it. I know many organizations have something called inside sales, but inside marketing is just, it's really that second layer of qualification before sending it over to sales. So you're having that human connection and not losing that human connection.
That's right. And tell me a little bit about the resistance that you may have got from some in the organization, that when you start automating marketing processes, sales processes, there's always a part of the organization who says, well, hold on, what I do is different, it's special, I have the special types of client relationships. First, did you encounter some of those issues, and maybe how you have been able to accommodate for that?
Yeah, I think you know, there was a demand from a marketing standpoint to automate because we're so big and we do get so many inquiries, right? So I think that there's an appetite there. From a sales standpoint, there was also an appetite because at one point we were sending them too much and they weren't qualified. So I think there's an appetite on both sides, which is why we got the buy-in. Where we typically find that there's resistance is the adoption of the technologies, right? So this is the technology, you're using the CRM, you need to take the lead and you need to you know, process it. So that's where we found a bit of the resistance, and that's why we knew that was going to happen, looking at that forgetting curve, and because of the resistance. So we continuously are following up with the sales folks and working with them to make improvements. So the other thing is it's change management. So if people came to us with, hey, this is what you set up here didn't make sense, and if it was actually really good feedback, we were able to make changes very quickly as well. Oh, you know what, you're right, okay, let's make this change, because it's probably one person's complaining but maybe 10 people actually feel it, right? So yeah, that's what we did.
Very good, very good. We have time for one quick question here at the end. Thanks for everybody for providing so many great questions. Anna Martinez, she asks, where do you think the digital transformation function should fit in the org chart? Is it in IT or outside of IT? And so that's the question.
That's a great question. You know, because I used to be marketing, and then I moved into digital. And where I sit is kind of between sales, IT, and marketing, right? Because the tools now for us specifically, like they're tools that I can evaluate because I understand what my needs are. So I don't know if it needs to sit in IT. I think, you know, it's somewhere in between, and maybe there's this digital transformation team that can address all. But a great question, and I'm sure there's many different viewpoints on that.
Very good. Yeah, it's so much driven by the context and the culture and also many other factors. But this is fantastic, Zara. We're so privileged to have you. So grateful for you to take your time. I know it was like super early. It was like 5:30 in the morning in Vancouver when you joined for us for this call, and we're so appreciative for you to share your insights and learn so that we all can learn from that experience. Thank you so much.
Really appreciate it, and thank you all for your time, and really appreciate the opportunity here. So if anyone has any more questions, find me on LinkedIn. Happy to chat. I love this stuff and I can talk about it all day. So thank you all very much and have a lovely day.
Thank you very much, Zara. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this completes our first segment for Digital Transformation Live. As Zara has mentioned, you can go onto LinkedIn. We provided the links. You can look under my name on LinkedIn and you can see the posting for Digital Transformation Live. And you can ask questions there. You can make commentary about the presentations and we'll answer and address as many of those as possible. Our speakers do that. I do that myself. So take advantage of that. It's kind of the follow-up to the conference discussions. So our next guest coming at the top of the hour is going to talk about intelligent automation and shared services. It's going to talk about intelligent automation, RPA, and how it's being done in the context of the future pipe industries. So fascinating review of the industry and the organization and the implementation of this intelligent automation technologies. So you do not want to miss that. So I'm going to close the session right now. We reopen at the top of the hour and we hope to see you again. Take care, everyone.